Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Jewellers Academy podcast. I'm Anna Campbell, your host this week, and I'm really excited to be joined by Lynn Powell. Lynn is the founder of the Arienas Collective, a creative workshop hub in Edinburgh. And the collective was set up to help local artists and makers, including me, earn a living through sharing their creative skills with others. The workshops are all about helping people get back to creativity and the well-being side of creativity, and tend to be themed around things that people can easily then carry on doing from home. I am the founder of Jewellery School Scotland, and when I moved to Edinburgh in 2017, I was looking for somewhere to teach and was very fortunate to meet Lynn. And I teach all my workshops with the Arienas Collective, and we regularly sell out our taster workshops. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about our strategy for this. And this is a talk that we did recently for our exhibition, which was called Love or Money, which was exploring how creatives make money. So welcome, Lynn. I'm excited to be talking to you about this again.
Thanks for inviting me, Anna. It's lovely to be here.
Yes. Yes. So as I said, this is something we have talked about before, and we really wanted to get a little bit of just it was such a great talk. We had a really great number of people who came along, and equally I had a couple of people message me and saying, I'm not in Scotland, I'm going to miss it. So I was like, well, let's get Lynn on the podcast and let's talk about how we sell out some of our workshops, not all of them, some of our workshops, and like the strategies that we use, because we love to be able to help creatives make more money.
Indeed.
So do you want to get started with our first point? We have 10, which I know is a lot, but we have 10. We couldn't really narrow it down, so we're going for it. So do you want to get started with our first point and suggestion?
Brilliant. Yes, top 10 tips.
Top 10 tips, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. I think location was our first one.
Yes.
And as with when you're selling property and you hear that all the time, it's a similar sort of thing, I think, with workshops too. Where you're based is really important. People need to be able to find you easily. They need to be able to get to you easily. So things like good public transport, good directions, free parking, all those sorts of things are really important. And I think although, you kind of take that for granted in a way and you think, well, that's common sense, which it is, we sometimes forget that actually people can get quite nervous when they're coming to things and they can't always find you. So having a good location, but also having really clear directions, I think is really important. So also, I think I'd say accessibility. Partly because we're not very accessible here because we're on the first floor of a Georgian house that we can't do anything about. So I think from that point of view is think about how accessible your space is as well physically. And for people with hearing or sight differences. Or just be honest. If you can't cater for that, just be very honest and upfront is good. So a shop window is wonderful. So lots of people have workshops in either in cafes or in their own studios or whatever, which might be on a high street or might be in a block of studios and other businesses that are going on. And obviously that's a huge asset, particularly if you've got a lovely shop window. Maybe people can see through, maybe they can read in the window what's going on inside. They feel encouraged to open the door and step in and ask. So if you're lucky enough to have a shop window, I think really make the most of that. That's fantastic. But I think for me, it's not just about the physical location. It's also about what that location says about you. So kind of don't rush into things. Don't rush into a location if it doesn't feel right. Some people partner up with like a shop, a cafe, a restaurant, another artist to find a space where they can work, which is great. But make sure it still says what you want it to say about your own business. And I feel that's really key. Sometimes that can get forgotten. It's for us, of course, as you know, it's a very different scenario. Here we are in my home and the workshops are run from my home. And that has a lot of pros and cons, but it's very much back to what you said in your introduction, that we want to run workshops in a space that is welcoming, supportive, that beginners feel they can come to, that maybe people who doubt their creative skills and abilities can come to. It's not formal, it's not an art studio. And we very much promote the feel of the space. So the fact that it is a home, we sit around the sofa, we have cups of tea from my grandmother's mugs, as you know, Anna. But it's right for us because it works for what we're trying to do, the way we are trying to sell our workshops, the sort of people that we want to appeal to, and the sort of people that we hope will be happy in the space. So, but of course, it has its pros and cons. Running workshops from home, one of the big pros is reduced financial risk. So you're not having to hire a space and then not know whether you're going to be able to fill it or not. So that's given us huge flexibility. And as you know, it was a wonderful bonus during lockdown because we didn't have all those extra costs to have to cover, and we could just simply reopen again. So that was really good. So definitely, the financial side of it is very positive. You can also get that from working in partnership with another venue. So where maybe the venue provides the space and the refreshments and you provide the actual creative activity. And so you spread your risk, your financial risk. You reach out to 2 audiences rather than 1. But it often ends up actually sharing the financial rewards. So your rewards can be less, but, it's a balance. It's a balance to be had. I mean, I guess one of the big pluses for us here is the fact that there's not sort of any toing and froing. I'm here. So I wake up and I step upstairs and there I am in my studio. And for artists like yourself who can leave some things here and it's easy to sort of come and go and get set up. From the point of view of time is money. And I think, again, we don't often plan that as creatives. We forget that our planning time is also a cost to the business. So it cuts down on the travelling and the packing, but it can infringe on your family home and your life. So you've got to get a really careful balance on that. But I suppose my underlying message really is when you're choosing location, yes, all the physical things are important, but just remember to find a space that says what you are, who you are, and who you want to appeal to, and where they'll feel comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Arienas Collective is just so perfect because it is such a lovely, homely space. So many people come in for the first time and they're looking around and they're like, you can feel that, because there is, I mean, I know I've been to workshops and I've been, if I don't know where I'm going, I'm a little bit, anxious and a little bit, what's happening? But as soon as they come in and kind of sit down, it's like you're welcoming them in. It's lovely. And we're so central in Edinburgh. There's lots of amazing transport links. The trains, the buses, the trams. So we're very fortunate. But I've been to workshops in very different kinds of places. So I've been to ones where they have been right in the centre of things, like the London Jewellery School was right in the centre of Hatton Garden, and it was all there as we are in the Arienas. Equally, I've been to some that are much more remote. I've been to ones, fairly remotely in Yorkshire or in Cornwall and places like that. And I think either can work, but I think this goes back to what you just said about like what is your ethos? What is it that you're bringing to this? So if you are a little bit more remote, maybe you've got parking, which we do not have in much. But so that might change things. But also then maybe it will also feel more like a kind of countryside retreat feel to it. So as you say, I think you can make anything work, but being very clear about what you do and where you're doing it and how to get to you, and being having all of that information makes people just feel that bit more confident, doesn't it?
Definitely. And it's that balance, I think, as you say. You don't expect to go for a quiet, peaceful retreat in the city centre, but equally for us, we're tucked away, aren't we? A lot of people don't know us, which is good. We get that nice balance from that. And a lot of people, as you say, I think are surprised when they walk through the door, that where we are and how peaceful it is for a city centre. But I think if I was booking a retreat, I'd probably more be looking for a kind of more countryside, because I'd physically be wanting to get away from the noise of a city and that side of it. So yeah, it's, for me, it's very much about getting that balance between having somewhere that works for you rather than just having somewhere.
Yeah, and I think this kind of comes into a wider thing around information that you give to the people coming about what is around. So for us, it's very easy for somebody at lunchtime to nip out and get something to eat. But if you were in, a more urban place, or you were a little bit more, remote, you might say, do bring your lunch, or and be very clear about what is provided, because you know I think it's always about clarity in everything, isn't it? About what they're going to learn, but also about the logistics too.
Yeah, and I think maybe what I didn't mention was, because one of the big benefits, you say, of the fact that we are in the centre of Edinburgh, we're 10 minutes walk from everything, really, including trains, buses, everything, is actually we therefore have a very, very wide market, probably much wider than other people in Edinburgh might have if they're on the outskirts. So the audience, well, we had somebody travelling to your workshop recently from Ireland, but because they can get here, they get off the train, the tram, the bus, whatever, the 5-10 minute walk. So our reach is very, very wide. And I'd put that down to A, it's a lovely city that people want to visit, but B, the public transport is extremely good and we're very central. So yeah, it can affect your audience, the reach of your audience as well, where you are.
Definitely, definitely. And I think this kind of comes into my next point, because we're going to be alternating here, which is around just being a little bit strategic and thinking about, don't be in competition with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think this can be a key factor to this. I find a lot of people who absolutely love teaching, as I do, and as the artists that you work with, I know many of us do. Um, and for me, teaching has always been like the thread through my career, so I really love it. Um, but it can be very easy to think, oh, I need to try and spread myself out, and I need to teach here and here and here and here. And there have been times in my career that I have done that. I've taught in a college, and then I've taught, like at the London Jewellery School, or I've taught, I have taught in a few different locations. But I think it's good to have one space that you're basically, firstly, that you're advertising to people.
Yeah.
Because if you're here, there, and everywhere, it gets a little bit confusing, and the messaging could be a little bit confusing. But also, if you are all over the place, you are a little bit in competition with yourself. I think that's one of the things that has gone well with the metal clay, and particularly the taster workshops, is that we advertise a whole year's worth.
Yes.
We'll have dates throughout the year, but we'll have kind of limited dates, and then when we sell one out, we'll add another one and another one. So, you know, if I was teaching in lots of different places, I'd need to have like multiple dates and things available. And I think it just gets too much, doesn't it? I know
Yeah.
that's something that we've talked about before as well. So I don't know what your thoughts are on this one too.
Yeah, I think absolutely that you can be in danger of competing with yourself and potentially spreading yourself a bit thin as well.
Yeah.
It's a hard choice. It's really hard because obviously, Arienas was set up to support us artists to earn a living, as you said. Um, Obviously, my job is to try and help support the artists that work with me to earn a living. And so sometimes we've had these conversations that actually, well, you're running this workshop over there. It sounds and looks very similar, but it's at a different price. How does that work? If you're going to do that at a different price somewhere else for whatever reason, sometimes there's good reasons, then you are competing with yourself. And also, how can I help you sell spaces here if spaces are selling elsewhere for something similar looking, £10, £20 cheaper? It makes it very hard. And I think what you touched on, it's a very confusing message then to the customer, is like,
Yeah.
what am I getting that's different? Where do I go? So it definitely, I want artists to be able to earn a living wherever. So I'll encourage and support them to do that. So how we kind of work at the Arienas Collective is two ways. I mean, firstly with other artists, perhaps not so much with the silver clay, is that we have workshops that are unique to the Arienas Collective. So if they're running workshops elsewhere, because that's what they want to do, that's fine. But let's not make it the same workshop. Let's make it different. And then people can see, they choose which workshop they want to go to rather than choosing which location, for example. They choose the actual workshop they want. And if that's elsewhere, then great. But the best model is the one that you and I have, which is that you teach exclusively at the Arienas Collective. You don't teach these workshops anywhere else. You've obviously got your own incredible following, and you bring that with you to Arienas. And the workshops sell really well, because if that's what people want, they want to come to a workshop with you, and they're nearby or can get to Edinburgh easily, then they'll come. And they do.
Yeah.
And it's very clear, this is what you do, this is where you do it, and the dates are up there for them to book whenever they're ready. And I think that's also why we then appeal to people from far and wide. We get people coming from all over Scotland, north of England, up from London, because they're visiting and they look and they want to come to one of your workshops, and this is the only place they can do it. So it is, I think, for artists, it's, for me, I just make a sort of business decision with Arienas that it's either exclusive to the Arienas, or it's a workshop that is exclusive to the Arienas, rather than the artist as a whole. Some artists run workshops elsewhere, some don't. But yeah, it's just always I would say, would be my bit of advice, is just be really careful you don't end up competing with yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, sometimes, you get the opportunity, like I've taught at a college before, and those courses were subsidized because of the way that the college was funded.
Yeah.
So, it may well be, like you said about pricing, the price of the workshop actually isn't lower, but it looks lower, but that's just because it's been subsidized by the funding. And I think that can be a bit confusing. And you likely, when you work for a college, you're actually going to be paid hourly rather than maybe in the way that we work. So, there are just some pros and cons of all of that kind of thing. And I think it's always worth taking that step back and being strategic about it, because it can be very, once you get the opportunity, you're like, oh, I better take it. And it's taking that step back and just going, actually, is this the right idea for me, or is this the right idea for me for a year, for 2 years to get established, and then I can kind of set up more on my own? It's kind of thinking a little bit more about that side of things as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because that's where as you say, the pricing comes in, and pricing is important. And as creatives and people who are passionate about the benefit of people engaging in creative activity, of course, it's lovely to make it accessible to people who otherwise couldn't afford it. And if you get funding to do that, that's great. As you know, it's been a bit of one of my bugbears with artists, is saying, it's free. It's not, because if nothing else, you're giving your time. And it's fine to give your time. And it's wonderful that somebody is maybe funding you to provide a workshop that people can afford. Either it's for free or it's for a very subsidized price. But just as you say, just be really clear about that, because if you're trying to sell a workshop for £50 and then you promote one that's running at a venue that's funded you to do it for free, it's quite a confusing message to people, and you can get discussions. I've seen it happen around, why are you charging £50 for this workshop and this one's free? Why is this artist's workshop £10 and this artist's workshop's £40? Well, there's always a reason. It could be because that artist has chosen to donate their time for a charity, for example. It could be because the venue has been offered for free. It could be because there has been funding and the artist has been asked to deliver a workshop, but they still get paid their fee and expenses, but that's not obvious from the price. So I encourage artists, if something's free, not to say free, but to say something like funded for free or funded, and to actually offer that explanation and to show that you're absolutely delighted to be able to offer this workshop free, but it's because of support from A, B, and C. Because then when you come to sell your own workshops, at their true price, it might be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So tip number 3, that's you now. So what's the third one?
So, having sort of talked about making it easy for people to find you in person at a shop or in your home where we are, it's also about making it really easy for people to find you online. Um, Very few people now are running workshops where not the details and the information is online on a website. And actually, if you don't have a website and you're starting out, set one up. Um, so yeah, it's the same sort of principles again. If you're online, you still need to direct people to where you are. You still need to show them how they're going to find you. You don't have the benefits of an address and a sort of turn left here, turn right there. But you're basically doing the same thing online. So the key message here, I guess, is keywords, and search engine optimization. That dreadfully feared phrase, SEO, and of course, SEO is a massive area in its own right, and there's lots of really good training out there on that. But there's also like good free training from people like Google on SEO, so you don't have to pay a fortune to get it. It is quite involved in some ways, but actually for me, the principles are actually quite simple. And it's the same things, you're just trying to give people very clear directions on how to find you. So online, it just comes out through keywords, if you like. So I just go back to the starting point. So if you're going to be writing like descriptions for workshops, think about what people will look for when they go online to try and find your workshops. So I usually actually just start with myself. I usually say, if I'm looking for a silver clay jewellery workshop, what would I put into that search box? Well, I'd probably put silver clay jewellery workshop Edinburgh, if that's what I was looking for. So it's not actually that complicated, and if you just keep it as simple as that. But of course, people look in very different ways, especially online. So it's always worth I just ask friends. As you know, we always ask the people that come to the workshop, how did you find us? That's vital information. And I think sometimes we forget that actually when we've got an audience in front of us, that they have all that knowledge and information that we need. How did you find us? And often they remember quite specifically, don't they? They go, oh, Google, I put in Silver Clay Workshop Edinburgh, and I found you. So that also tells you whether it's working or not. If they found you by putting that in, then great. Equally, if they say, I put it in, but I didn't find you, I asked a friend, or I had to go and look around, I had to go somewhere else, then you haven't quite got your keywords and your SEO right. For me, also just try it out yourself. I mean, Google yourself. If you're already up there, put in Arienas creative workshops, or put in macrame class Edinburgh, or any of the other things that we offer here, and see if you come up or not, or see what does come up. So for your workshops, will often come up under you, because you're very good at doing that. Often come up under Jewellery School Scotland. It'll often come up under Carspento, where we're also listed, which I think we'll probably come on to a little bit later. So my view is that as long as you find us, that's great. I'm not over bothered about how, as long as the systems that we're using and the places that we're listed are helping people find us, then that's brilliant. So make use of maybe other businesses that have much, much bigger budgets to spend on SEO to help them find you. So I go back to the basics, really, the old marketing basis of, who, what, why, when, where. So with the Silver Clay Jewellery Taster, for example, from an SEO point of view, the keywords, who would be beginners? People are often looking specifically for a beginner's class or an advanced class or a master class. So those words are really key to have. Silver clay jewellery class or workshop is the what, if you like, of that. The when would be the time of day. So morning, afternoon, evening, half day, full day, all those sorts of clues that people will often search for. Where is obviously Edinburgh. Usually you'd add Scotland as well, I'd say. Get a lot of people who will search in Scotland because they're prepared to travel. Edinburgh, Scotland. And the how for that would be in person. So is the workshop provided, is it an in-person thing, or is it something that is offered online, or both, or whatever that might be. So I think if you just go back to those basics of the fairly simple things, I think I, for one, definitely got quite kind of, I don't know, scared's the right word, but I kind of found it a bit SEO, a little bit kind of, oh, I don't know about this, and a bit threatening. But when I read about it, when I broke it down, it was actually quite simple. Who, what, why, when, where are you offering? What words would you use? What word would you use? And what words do people use to find you? And just make sure you've got those in your title and in the description of
Yeah.
your workshop. And then people will find you.
Yes. And what's interesting for my ones, because many people have not ever heard of silver clay,
True.
they often are typing in silver jewelry workshop or something like that. And they kind of find me. I put that in because it is silver jewelry. It's just a different way of working with silver jewelry. And, so I think it's around thinking about that too, because if you work in something very niche, like
Yeah.
wax carving or something, perhaps that a beginner doesn't even know
Yeah.
exists. We don't know what we don't know. It's about thinking about, well, what will they search for? Well, is it silver jewelry? Is it beaded jewelry? Is it wax carving? Is it, it's that type of thing. Another thing we have talked about before, and people may not know, but the Arienas Collective is named for a Loch Arianas.
Yeah.
Which is lovely, but you have said that it's not necessarily SEO name.
Absolutely. It's an interesting one. The same way as you say with silver clay, metal clay, people don't necessarily know those words. I hadn't heard of it until I met you. So you do need to be putting, when you put like keywords, key titles, things like that, descriptions on your photographs, whatever, include all those things that people might be searching for. Like, oh, I searched for, silver wax jewelry or whatever it is, but I saw you. So think that that's maybe how people will find you, which is where the research comes in. But yeah, you're right. With Arienas Collective, it's a lesson in terms of if you're setting up your business from the start, to think about your name as well in terms of search engine optimization. If you're going to be having a website and your website is going to be a key way that you're going to be promoting your workshops, then it's really important to think about the name as well. So, yours is great, Jewellery School Scotland. It's very clear. The Arienas Collective isn't at all clear. And I realised I'd given myself quite a hard SEO job. But the meaning of the name is important to me. And the feel behind the name. It is, as you say, named after a loch up in Ardnamurchan, which is one of my favourite places in the world to be. It's where I had the idea for setting up what became the Arienas Collective. And so it felt right to me to name it after that. But of course, nobody knows what it is, where it is. It tells you nothing about what we do. It might make people who know Scotland think, oh, it's based in Ardnamurchan. It's not, it's in Edinburgh. It's a collective, great. It's people working together, but doing what? Nobody knows. So I kind of quite quickly changed the logo. And with my kind of marketing background hat on, it became the Arienas Collective, and then the strapline below was Creative Workshops Edinburgh. So you can just see it in the back there, can't you? Yeah.
I can see the name. I love it.
Yeah, my daughter designed the logo for me, and she sort of did it with the Arienas Collective first of all, and then added that below, because I very quickly realised that this told people nothing about what we did and where we did it. So, but the name was important to me. So I think it was important to keep that there. But yeah, a lesson certainly for anybody setting up a new business, if you haven't decided on your name, it can be really, really helpful if you've got clues in there for people as to what you do and where you do it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I came up with the Jewellery School Scotland. Firstly, I was quite surprised that it still existed, but no one else had ever taken it. But it was because I'd been working for Jess for such a long time, and and I understood from working as a marketing coordinator for the London Jewellery School for such a long time how important that was. And I know you've talked about SEO, and I think that's brilliant. But just SEO is, if you're teaching, it is really important. It's much more important than for those people actually who are selling jewelry. It's very hard to be found if you put in silver jewelry. The amount of websites of people who are selling silver jewelry is big. But if you put in Silver Jewellery Workshop Edinburgh, suddenly you're going to find a very small number of people, and hopefully find us at the top, because that's where we should be. So that's what, that's why that is important. So, and also I did want to add this, because I find this is a bugbear of mine. So I'm going to add this in, and that is, if your teaching is your main thing that you're doing, and I know it may well be that you're making and selling jewelry as well as teaching, and that could be a thing. But if workshops are important to you, do put the location of that you're teaching in, like, your Instagram bio. Put it somewhere really clear. There've been loads of times where I've seen someone saying, I'm teaching and I'm doing this, and I've looked at their profile and I can't even tell where they are in the world. I can't tell what country they're in, let alone whether they're anywhere near me. And that's something, that's kind of information people need very, very quickly. And if they can't find it, they're like, oh, well, this can't be for me. So making sure that you've got teaching jewelry workshops in, and just having a location, it is important. And you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit if you're not being super clear about that one.
I totally agree, and I similarly find a lot of people who do that too. As you say, I go to their bio when I'm looking for things for Creative Workshop Scotland. That platform, it's like I look to say, oh, okay, this is an artist. Where are they teaching in Scotland? And I can't tell from where they're at. And actually, when people are looking for information, particularly online, they have a very short attention span.
Yeah.
And if they don't find you straight away, you'll lose them. You've lost them. I don't know where they teach. I don't know. I'll just go and find someone where I do know where they teach. And there's a lot more competition out there than there used to be. When I first started Arienas, there are many, many more people providing creative workshops out there, and artists earning a living through that, which is fantastic and wonderful. But as you say, if they don't know where you're going to be, it's tricky. I mean, for some artists, obviously, they're teaching all over the place, so they don't have one location. But even if you give a clue like Scotland, that's helpful, because people do travel. If they see something they really want to do, they make a trip of it. So even if they go, oh, well, they're in Scotland, because as you say, online, you could be anywhere in the world. Whereas, with their physical shop, they know where you are. But with an online shop, they have no idea. And I think that's why I go back to the basics, as I said, of the who, when, what, why, where. Ask yourself that, because we make so many assumptions of knowledge that people have because we know it and we forget. So if you just go back and ask yourself those questions, then hopefully you won't miss anything out that maybe you think is obvious, or it's just so ingrained in you don't even think to mention it. But I think that's true. I think a lot of people, it's really not very obvious where they're teaching, and you need to find that information quickly.
Yeah, it's the first thing you do, and then you kind of drill down, is like, does this person teach something I want to learn? But it's first thing is like, is this in a location that I can get to?
Yes,
I think is before anything else. And so that's why I think it should be in your bio. Okay, let's move on. So the next one is around just thinking carefully about what you're going to teach. So I will just say, we have a very brilliant teaching jewellery making course at Jewellers Academy that Jess and I did. And we go into lots of different things about lesson planning and choosing what you're going to teach and all of that, and insurance. And we really dive deep into it. So I'll put the link of that in the show notes. But generally what I would say around this is, what you want to try and do is teach something that you can't find very widely. So you just mentioned that last weekend somebody flew all the way from Galway in Ireland just for a workshop, one of my workshops, which was amazing. We've also had somebody fly from the Middle East somewhere, came for a holiday. And they were having a holiday anyway, but they came to do, I think, a couple of workshops with me, and they were traveling around Scotland as well.
Yes.
So, it's firstly, it's teaching something you can't find very widely. Now, for me, silver clay, because that is the thing I specialize in, that's the only thing that I personally work in, is still quite a niche thing. It's something that is not taught very widely. I've been working with it since 2010, so I have quite a lot of experience of working with it as well. So in that respect, having silver clay workshops at the moment, I mean, there are people doing it, of course, but at the moment is a little bit more niche than perhaps more general silversmithing workshops are. So for me, silver clay could be the fairly unique thing for me. And as I said, people are traveling, which is so exciting. If someone is teaching something like that nearby, that doesn't mean, oh, I can't do it. Think about a way of doing it that is different. Is there a project that you could do? Is there like a ring making style, or a pendant, or something that people would go, I'd love to learn how to make that. I think that then becomes the key thing for you, because it's about having something, whether it's the technique itself that you're teaching and that you have that expertise in, or it's like a specific project. It's like, oh, I'd love to learn how to make that ring. Or we had Anna Mazon visit us
Yeah.
in Edinburgh a few years ago to teach, and she has this beautiful twig ring that she does, and that's always been very popular design of hers, and she teaches you to make that specific ring. I tend to teach technique, so I will teach you. It's a little bit more open than that, and I allow people to kind of have their own designs and things within that. So both can work, but it's about just making that decision. What can I teach that's a little bit more unusual, that's going to attract people's attention, that's going to make people want to come to me rather than go somewhere else? I don't know, what are your thoughts on that one? We've kind of talked a little bit about that in terms of not being in competition with yourself too, but this is a slightly different point.
It is different, and I think it harks back to something that I've always felt, is that sometimes people see competition as an issue, as a problem, as a negative thing. Like, oh, suddenly there's lots of people offering jewellery workshops, so what am I going to do? I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, well, that's great. There's lots of people out there wanting to do jewellery workshops. That's good. So then it's not about competing. It's about, as you say, what is your place within that market then? What is it that you offer that might want people to come to you? And stick to that, because I don't know if it's niche or unique or whatever. They talk about, USPs and unique selling points and all those sorts of things, and it can all get a bit jargony. But actually, it's more just think about what it is that you do, and what is it you do that is unique and special about what you do. And as you say, it could be what you make, it could be the actual thing you make, the end of project piece. It could be the theme for that particular workshop. It could be your particular skills and knowledge and experience. It could be the place, back to the place again. It could be the place you teach that workshop. Can be the price. It can be a lot of different things, but in terms of when you look at a market where maybe you aren't one person, the only person offering that, is just to find your position within that market, because it will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of artists are not very good at selling themselves sometimes. So if you've got a unique skill, it could be that you've studied a very specific process, or you've worked with a very specific artist, or you've got a particular passion about something. Tell people what that is, because that, if people have got 10 choices in front of them on a screen, which one are they going to opt for? Then they're going to choose the one that speaks to them. And actually that's your customer. Maybe the other 5 customers out there aren't your customer. They're not really wanting what you're offering. You might pick some of them up, but what you want to do is make sure you get your customer that you're looking for. So tell them about you. Give them a lot of detail about what the workshop is, what they will learn, what skills. But just tell them a story. Tell them a story about what it is you're offering, and then let them decide for themselves. If what you see on a page is 10 silver jewellery workshops that all say silver jewellery workshop, all in similar place, all similar price, or how did they choose? Well, they choose by the detail that you offer. So yeah, as you say, with the silver clay classes, we're really fortunate, and Arienas is very fortunate to have you, that you've got such a history and a background in silver clay. I think you've done every qualification you can in it.
There is, yeah.
You are known as an expert in that area. So it's wonderful. There's a great story to tell, and people want to come and do a workshop with you. And some people come back to the Arienas Collective because they want to do a workshop in the Arienas Collective because of the space.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've also do our open days where we invite people to come along and have a try, meet you, watch a little demo, because people don't often know what they're looking for. As you say, they don't know what silver clay is. Maybe they don't know what the space is like. They're not quite sure if it's right for them. So, and those are the sorts of things that will help them choose you over someone else. But if you don't do those things and you don't tell them about those things, then you're not going to help yourself.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Point number 5. That's one of your ones. So what's next?
Planning ahead and having a range of dates. And I think you touched on this a little bit earlier about how we plan the workshops up to sort of a year ahead. And I think this is a bit of a tricky balance to get it right. And there's a little bit of experimentation required to find what works for you, I think. But what's been changing for me recently and has made this, I think, more of an important thing to be thinking about is the market's a very different place now, and you do get a lot of people making decisions at the last minute. So, and I know that this has really affected, for example, the event world, the small independent venues that run music nights, or where people just decide on Thursday night what they're going to do that night. Well, if you're trying to run something and make sure you don't lose money on it, as an artist, you can't do that unless you're fortunate enough to be that the venue you're playing in has offered to pay your fee whether nobody turns up or not. If you're hiring a venue and giving up your time to be there, and people don't book till the last minute, then you may have already cancelled it. So I think this whole thing of planning ahead, but also giving people and encouraging people to book ahead is becoming more important. That's just a sort of personal thing that I feel is happening more recently. So, as I said, it is a tricky balance to get it right, and we've changed things over the years. But go back again to thinking about your audience. Is your audience all people that want to come during the day, or is it only people who can come in the evening? Most likely thing is that it will be mixed. So when you're looking at offering dates, don't just offer one date on a Wednesday afternoon. And then if it doesn't sell, think that workshop's wrong and that the workshop's not going to sell and that nobody's interested. They may be very interested, but they're just not free that day. They may or may not tell you that. So you may lose them because they go and look for something that's on another day. Or if you're lucky enough, they'll come to you and say, I'm really interested in this. So are you offering it any other time? And you can make a note of that. So parents may prefer daytimes because of childcare, schools, all that. Working people might prefer evenings because they want to have their weekends free with their family. Most people for us, I would say, the majority are looking for a weekend. That's when they're free for our particular audience, but that's not at all 100%. So having a range of dates available, a range of times available is important. Also, there are a lot of people who do book ahead, and I guess that's partly back to what we were saying about people coming specifically for your workshop, for example, if they're coming from Ireland, they're prepared to book ahead. They're going to book their travel, they're going to book their hotel. So we have workshops. Well, your September workshop already was sold out, wasn't it? So we had to add another date, another time slot. People do book ahead. We have people already booked into our open day in November, and that started 2-3 months ago. So, because I put it up at like a year ahead. So if you can just have a range of dates, a range of times, think about key diary dates as well. Like in Edinburgh, obviously we've got the Fringe and the festival going on in August. We've learned through experience that actually it's much harder to get people along to our workshops during that time. I'd say quite a lot of our audience escape Edinburgh during that time. And also there's, 5 million other options to search for. So it's not the best use of our time to be running workshops at that period. And a lot of audience as well go on holiday. The minute the schools close, the audience goes down. But for example, if you're running workshops for family workshops or for children, then obviously summer holidays key, that could be your busiest time. But again, parents, because they need to book time off work, they need to know they've got things for the children to do. They will want to book anything up to a year ahead for theirs. So I think, if you take a sort of step by step, we'll try one date, see if it works, and then we'll add another one. If you only do that, that's quite a risk, and I think you'll maybe not give it its best chance. Equally, you've got to find a balance of not having too many dates, that you just spread your audience. So if you've got 10 dates for them to choose from, and you've got 30 people wanting to do the workshop, well, 30 people is marvellous, but if they each choose a different date, then you're maybe going to get 3 at each workshop, which isn't marvellous and isn't going to make you money. So come back to kind of some things we do on that. So in terms of your jewellery workshops, as you know, Anna, what we do is we do plan a year ahead. The 2026 dates will start going up from September of this year. And that is something that helps me for planning, but I think it also helps you as well, because we both have other things that we do. So it's really useful from a planning point of view to have those dates ahead. What we do is we start by offering, say, a Saturday morning class. And if that starts to sell out, or it looks like it's going to sell out, we'll then add in an afternoon session. That's, I think, a really good way of doing it, a really effective way of doing it. You and I have both got that day in our diary anyway. You're travelling once here and back to get here. I know it's not a long commute, but it's still your time. Everything is set up. That's another saving of time. Time is money. And you're going to be there anyway. So, but start with that morning session. And if it looks like that's going to fill up, then add in another afternoon session. So it protects our time if we don't need it as well. We mainly do, at the moment, I think, kind of a weekend dates, really, don't we? That's our kind of starting point. But I know in principle that you always offer a weekday option. And I think that's really good, because it's not fair if people want to come to your workshops that we expect them to take a day off work to do that. It's nice to be able to offer people an option. A lot of people will take a day off because they want to come to the workshop, so they'll do that. But again, that's usually something that's done ahead of time, in advance. So it's another thing that we have on our website is a waitlist facility, which is really good for testing out new workshops, what the level of demand is. So if one of your taster dates is sold out, but people want to come specifically on that date for whatever reason, they can add their name to a waiting list. So again, if we see, oh my goodness, there's 5 people on the waiting list for this date, then it also gives us a heads up that maybe another time slot or another date is needed. And you can then contact those people and ask them, would a weekday suit you? Would an afternoon suit you? Would an evening suit you? So you've already got a contact with your customer, and you're already getting feedback from them that they want the class. It's not that they don't want to do this class. It's just that they can't do that time, or it's already sold out. So that's a good facility if you can offer that on your website or on another booking platform that you use. And I suppose the other thing I would say is that keep the option open as well for on request dates. So, for example, we've just done a hen party, haven't we? Now, that wasn't obviously something that would be in our diary. We don't diary in hen party slots. So, if people have got the option to contact you and say, I've got a celebration coming up, hen party, birthday party, family do. Is your space available? Are you available on this date at this time? Then you keep that option open as well. So, but you're not committing your whole time, because obviously there's a balance with everybody's time. Artists tend to have more than one role or job, more than one pressure on their time. So it is about, as with choosing the time of day, the time of year you run workshops, it is also about getting a balance with the rest of your life and not having your entire diary open to workshops. So on request is good. So I guess sort of sum up is plan ahead, but do allow some space for flexibility. So if people do come to you with a specific request, or you've got enough people on your waiting list to make it look like an extra date could be added, then keep that flexibility. Think about what your audience would want. Think about what, don't sort of just pick a time that suits you or suits the venue. Think about actually what suits your audience, because if it doesn't suit them, they won't come. So be led by what you think they'll want and what would suit them. Make it as possible that it will work as possible. Got my words twisted up there, but I think you know what I mean. Make it as likely and as helpful as possible for them to come. And don't be surprised by how early people might book. Sometimes when I ask artists for, workshop dates 6 months ahead, they're like, I don't even know what I'll be doing then. I said, no, but your customer might. And it's a great thing to have. If you've got a workshop happening in November that has already met its minimum number to go ahead financially, then that's it. Box ticked. You know that workshop will go ahead. You can promote it with confidence. If people ask, you can say, yes, this workshop's happening. We've got enough people booked in it to make it happen. And it's a lovely
The money's come in already as well.
Money's there.
So
The money's there. It's a great cash flow thing to have that money coming in.
Yeah.
It lets you also do things like early bird offers if you want to do a thing like that. We don't discount our workshops, as you know, but we do offer what we call creative rewards to our loyal customers. So doing things ahead of that. So for our subscribers, we might say, we've got a new workshop going up. It's in December. We've got a thank you for being a loyal customer. Thank you for subscribing. And, for you, if you book ahead by this date, then you will get a saving of X. But as you say, that gives you the balance. You've got some bookings in. It gives you the cash flow coming in. It also lets you know that this is a workshop people want to buy. So lots of reasons for doing it early.
Yeah, I'd add in as well, what's been interesting, given that we've had workshops now for a number of years, that there has been a change and kind of trends have happened. So certainly pre-2020, a lot more for me. This is for me particularly, and different artists might find something different. But weekdays seem to be, they were quite popular. And then after that, more recently, a weekend will just sell out like that. It will go very quick. It will go. Most of my taster weekend classes do sell out. And then we're adding in another date, and it's brilliant. And I love that. But equally, what's been interesting is I've still put in a weekday here and there, and they started to sell out again. And there hadn't been for a few years. And if I'd been like, oh, well, weekdays don't work anymore, won't do any, we wouldn't have known there would be people who are like, well, I can't do weekends, but I could do during the week. So I think that's what you're going back to, that point of you saying of like having different options available, noticing when things are popular and having more of that available, but not just discounting a daytime, an evening, a weekend, whatever works for you. Do have another option in there that maybe one a year or a couple a year, because you never know when it might kind of suddenly pick back up again. The trend changes, and it's a really strange thing. So yeah.
It is, you're right. And of course, lockdown had a lot to do with that as well. That changed everything, didn't
Yeah.
it? And of course, a lot of people weren't back at work. So weekdays suited them really, really well. And so we suddenly, as you said, were adding in lots of weekday dates. And then everybody went back to work, and they were looking for weekend things to do. So you do have to watch the market generally, be aware of what's going on round about you. So the same way that it's, is it a weekday, is it a weekend, is that changing? I think that's what I was touching on in terms of,
Yeah, definitely.
are people booking ahead, or are they booking at the last minute? Well, we've now got a trend where more people are booking at the last minute. And
that used to be very unusual, because it used to be like, right, well, if 2 weeks to go and we don't have the numbers, then that's that. Or I would know, oh, well, if I've got 6 people and not 10 people with 2 weeks to go, I'd be like, well, that's probably what we'll end up with. But now, people will book at the last minute. I think as well, because, we can't offer cancellations and refunds. I think so people are a little bit more wary of that sometimes, so I think, that can sometimes have an impact as well. So yes, okay. We're on point number 6 now, and I appreciate we've already been talking for an hour and but it's fine. This is just going to be a longer episode, and for those people who are teaching, this is going to be the episode for you, because honestly, this is all our hard-earned knowledge that we're sharing with you here on this. So let's go on to point number 6, which is around having an intermediate or a next level course available for those who want to do more. So one thing we know about the Arienas Collective, especially again, as you've been running it for a number of years now, we kind of see this, and we're very established in what we do, is that a lot of people come back. They'll come to a beginner's workshop with me, and then they'll be like, I've got the bug now. I want to do more. I want to make rings. I want to do more. And so having something available for that is really good. Or they'll say, I love the Arienas Collective. What else do you do? And they'll find out about some of the other arts and crafts that we have available. So having an intermediate level course available, or more, like not just one, but more. I have 3 at the moment that people can kind of move on to, means that people who are like, oh, they've got it, and they're like, oh, this is so exciting, and I really want to do more. And then you go, well, here you are, there's more that you can do, and have it. And that's another tip as well, I would say, to add into here, is have some samples available when you've got a little lull moment. I find when people are polishing is my moment where I'm going, well, if you've really enjoyed this, why don't you have a look at these rings that you could make, and these boxes and beads that you could make, and learn how to make cufflinks and stud earrings. And so, I can kind of bring that in a natural kind of way. And yes, I am saying, look, if you want to come along, the next workshop is, on this date. But also, I like to just show people what else they can do with this material. If they've done something that's, a 3-hour workshop, we can only do some very basic beginners type things, but there's more that you can do. So having a next level course means that those people who get really enjoy it can move on to them. Now, I only tend to do those next level courses probably twice a year, and I'll do a weekday one and a weekend one, and I'll basically put them about 6 months apart, and we'll just do that. We've got an intermediate workshop of all of my workshops for the rest of the year, but as soon, probably very soon, we'll put in next year's ones as well. So if someone can't do that date, then there'll be something next year for them. And I think lots more people will come to a beginners, that's what they'll do. And some of those people will then want to come on and do something more, but it won't be all of them. And that's why I try and make sure we have a few available, but not loads. And it's also about saying, well, our ring making workshop earlier this year sold out, so don't miss out, kind of thing as well. But having that next level I think is important. What do you think, Lynn?
I totally agree. I think, and I really encourage all the artists to do that, whether it's next level up the way or whether it's just a different project. to work on, just having something you can move people there. When you've got people in your workshop space, that's your audience in front of you right there. So,
Yes.
if you put your business hat on, it's like, well, I've got my people here right in front of me. I need to tell them what else I do, and I need to have something else to offer them to get them back. In terms of Arienas, as you say, I've got lots of other types of workshops, which they may or may not want to do, but it's my opportunity to tell them briefly what those are, and get them on the mailing list, get them on the newsletter mailing list, and tell them about it. For you as an artist, it's very clear progression. As you say, it's not everyone's going to do that. There's going to be a small percentage of people who will fall in love with metal clay and do every class like me that you offer. So you need to tell them about it. You need to grab them while they're there. And having samples is really, really important because it helps them visualize what they could make. So I totally agree. We've got an audience there who are happy, they're enjoying what they're doing, hopefully, they're having a great experience, they like where they are, they want to come back. You need to tell them what it is they can come back and do, and let them ask you questions about what that might mean, whether they might be capable of doing it, what skills are needed. It's great. It's upselling, isn't it? It's upselling, so it's a great chance to do it at your workshop. You do that
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, definitely. And also what's been really interesting has been, and lovely, has been people coming along to the beginners workshop and going, oh, my sister would love this. Oh, I want to bring my niece along to this. And and kind of moving on to this point
Yeah,
next, but be giving things as gifts, or just coming along again
yeah.
and doing it, but bringing another person with them, which has been really amazing. So it's also kind of that side of it too. It's about talking about what you do and when's the next opportunity to join us, and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, like you say, those are
Totally.
those are our people, and they want to
They
know about
are.
it. They're
They
like, oh
do.
yes, I didn't know that you did that, and they want to hear about it.
They do. They either want to come back and do more silver clay, or they want to come back and do more workshops in other craft activities within the same space. And I think, as you say, I don't know, that does lead on to our next point, doesn't it? I don't know
It
if you just
does,
want me
yes.
to go
Let's get
into
into
that.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is sell the experience, sell the creative experience. If, a lot of your customers are, that they're there for the first time, but as you said, they might want to come back. They might love the space. They might love the skill. They might love you, what you do. They might want to come back and do more. They might want to bring a friend with them. They might want to book in family members. We've had that. They might want to come back and just have the space to themselves, which we've also had, where people come back and say, I want to do this workshop with my whole family as a family gathering, which is great. But it all comes from that first experience. So when you're running your workshops, it's really important to think about that. We keep saying, don't we, that people are wanting less stuff, more experiences. And
Yes.
it's become a bit of a slogan, but I think it's still true. And I think it's particularly true with creative experiences, is that people, certainly our audience, are looking for something that is more an experience, an enjoyable thing they're going to do alone or with friends or whatever. So make sure from the minute you contact them and you get their booking that you are giving them that positive experience. Make sure that the booking process is simple as it can be, that when you welcome them at that front door, they feel welcome. They've got there without getting lost. Hopefully, they walk through the door. I mean, me. I have my candles lit. I have my china vintage teacups out. I have the kettle on. We sit in the sofas. We chat a little bit to help them feel hopefully relaxed and welcome. We then during the workshop, it's where they sit is nice. They've had a nice cup of tea. They've had a biscuit. They've had local suppliers delivering nice cups of tea for them and everything. All those sorts of things has built up the experience. They haven't just come, done the workshop and gone. They've actually gone away, hopefully thinking, "Oh, I just needed that." They might be really quiet because they're just lost in the moment. But what you've done is given them an experience. And there's lots of ways you can kind of go on from that, just apart from just making the experience while they're there. and in dealing with you as good as you can. Gift vouchers, people want to, if they want to gift that to someone else, they give them a gift voucher. So we have our own printed gift vouchers. We also have online vouchers. So do you have online vouchers, which they can redeem on our platform as well? Offer the private parties, like we said, the hen parties, the birthday parties, the celebrations where they have sole use of the space. Add to their experience. Sometimes what we've done in the past is create a kit that people can buy so that they can take it away with them. So that, because we do try and teach skills and knowledge that they can do at home, give them a kit that they can buy. Or we got one kit where they can buy as a gift a kit that comes with a voucher for the workshop. So, that's a great thing to do. And just make their experience enjoyable when they're there. Sell yourself, sell the experience. And also they're great for team building. So don't forget that little corporate side. Or we've also done workshops in retail shops and things where they're giving it as a benefit, as a gift to their customers. So if you offer that sort of a service, then tell people about it. Tell them, I'll come to your office, do a bit of team building with you, or give your staff some time out. What about if I come and do this workshop in your shop, and for your customers, to benefit your customers? So yeah, sell the creative experience as a gift.
Definitely. And I think what you said, right, all of that, yes. But what you said right at the beginning of we all have so much stuff now, and people are loving the ability to gift a creative experience as well. And so having that possibility to do that, and having a voucher available for people to buy, and they can budget for that, and so it could be used as a part payment. Sometimes I've had people in the workshop who's gone, oh, I really want to come back for the ring making workshop, and I'll go, why don't you ask for it for Christmas? Or get a voucher, to help pay for it. And I was looking recently, I mean, over the years, there's been a number of years, but I personally have made thousands of pounds in gift voucher sales.
Yes.
And that person is then redeeming it on a date that they can do, rather than someone choosing a date for them and it's the wrong date. And so a gift voucher is such a brilliant thing to have available. So yeah, it's
expanding your market, isn't it? You're using the people who come to your workshop to help you reach a wider market, because they're giving it to their friends or their colleagues. It's a kind of win-win. And we I sort of hand print a nice card to go with it as well. And all these little touches, just people go, oh great, ready-made gift, here we go, nice card, gifts in there, sorted. Busy at Christmas time, and our workshops in the beginning of the year are always busy because of that, because people
that's very
vouchers. True. Yeah, so it's a great way of good start to the year.
We often have to have extra workshops on in January, because people are using their voucher. And I also want to have, that's another reason, I guess there's lots of tips going on here today, but that's another reason to make sure you do have your workshops at least into the first half of the next year for Christmas. Because if someone's buying a voucher, they want to know that there are dates available. And if you haven't put up with your next year's dates, then people are like, oh, I don't know, maybe they're not going to run workshops. Maybe I should choose something else.
That's a really good point.
It is such an important, it's back to that thing about having dates available. Yeah. I think really you need at least 6 months. And in fact, that means to me, now we've talked about it, September, we're going to put in our 2026 dates, because we want there to be enough for people to choose from and to feel confident, like this is a real thing, this is happening.
Yeah. If people don't see dates there, why would they buy a voucher?
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, well, it's point number 8 I've kind of made already, which is good. It was around trying different things, and what works one year might not work the next year. And so really being very open to what might work in terms of daytime, evening, weekends, different kinds of projects, that type of thing. I think it can also be around looking at what might be the trends in jewellery. What do people like? There's a lot of people really liking quite chunky pieces now, layered pieces. So having things that they could make that would fit in with that is quite a nice thing. But then if that changes, perhaps I might change the samples and the things that I'm doing, or the styles of the jewellery that we're making. So it's around just just keep trying different things, because things do evolve. And as I say, one thing that worked last year may not work this year, and something that didn't work last year may work this year. So it's a really interesting thing, but it does change and it does evolve. So keep trying new things is the thing.
Yeah, and it's good market research, isn't it? It's like, look to see what's happening, look to see what's popular. There will be trends, there will be fads, there will be all these things. And if you've got an audience of people who go, well, I want to, make nature things because nature things are popular at that moment, or something's been on the television. Often it's influenced by some of the television programs, isn't it? So maybe metal clay gets featured on an art program or something. Some people, oh, what's this? So it's like, know that. Did you see this on the television the other night? This is what I do. This is how you can make it. There's one I saw on an interiors program recently where they were showing about painting your lampshade. Well, that's something we've been talking about doing as a workshop. Well, now would be a good time to do it, because probably people have seen that on the television, that, oh, you can paint a lampshade, fantastic. So, that's market research, isn't it? And because you do have people who want to come back, as you say, and we do with your silver clay taster classes, people come do 2-3 times and they just make different things on each time. But if you're giving them examples, even if the class is kind of pretty much is the same, but if you're showing them examples either in the newsletters you share or on the social media platforms, then they go, oh, I could make that. So I never thought of that. I'll go back again and make that this time. So absolutely, it's keep them interested. Most of your business is going to come from existing customers eventually. So give those existing customers another reason to come back.
Yeah, definitely. Fabulous. Okay, point 9. We're nearly there, everyone.
Nearly there.
So well done if you're still with us.
Yes, that's the trouble. You can talk and talk and talk, can't you? But so much
we certainly
to learn
can.
and
Me
to
and you.
Yeah, so much
We
to learn and
certainly
share.
Yes, exactly.
So I suppose this one seems obvious, doesn't it? But it's promote your workshops in places where your customers are, where they already are. And from an online sort of perspective, that is going to potentially be on other booking platforms where people go. So it's, especially when you're starting out, you might not have your own booking platform, for example. You may never want to have your own booking platform. You may not have your own website, although you definitely should. It's like, okay, where do I start? Where do I find my people? Well, there's all sorts of platforms you can go on, anything from Eventbrite to, lots of indie platforms where you can sell events. But actually, from an art and craft point of view, if you think about it, the ones that are going to come up are something like Class Bento and craft courses. That's where people will go and start searching for things, whether it's for your workshop or not, but they will be on there, and people will be looking for courses, because if they Google, creative class, craft class, UK, United Kingdom, whatever, they're likely to come up, particularly at the moment, I would say, with Class Bento. They've done a lot of work on their search engine optimization. They come up at the top quite a lot. If you are on that platform, they'll find you. So in a way, you're letting that booking platform do some of the hard work for you, some of that technical work that you might not want to do, that you might not have time for, you might not have the skills for. So use them. We list on Class Bento, we list on craft courses, but we also have our own booking platform. But being listed in places where we don't necessarily reach people, then, especially, as I said, when you're new and you're starting out, it helps people to find you. And we get quite a lot of bookings for the silver clay jewellery tasters, don't we, through sites like Class Bento. We're then fortunate from our own point of view that I do run our own booking platform, that they can then book directly with us. So I see the Class Bento fee as a marketing fee. They bring people in, and also they have they're a big company, they have a reputation, going back to what you were saying about people wanting to trust you. If they don't see dates up ahead of time, if they don't know you, if you look independent, if it doesn't look like there's much on your website, they may feel that, oh, this is a bit risky. They may feel more comfortable booking through a bigger platform. So you can try to get included in other platforms, Creative Scotland, Craft Scotland. That'll depend on your discipline. Sometimes depends whether they're funding you or not. But go to where your people are. So have a think. If you Google things yourself, see what comes up. see where people are. Um, local sites are good too. So, what's on Edinburgh potentially, what's on London, what's on wherever you happen to be would be a good place to maybe think about being listed, because people will head there. But find out what kind of works for you. I guess, there's pros and cons of that. The pro, and that probably a lot of that, I would say, maybe depends on your skill set or your confidence at doing your own admin and your own booking sites, and bits of technical skill, although I find they're very intuitive now. So think about the best use of your time. If actually it's not something you're good at, it's not something you enjoy, it's something you'll always procrastinate on and will take more of your time than necessary, then maybe starting on another platform is a good thing.
Yeah.
But just don't forget that most people will initially very probably find you through a Google search. So if you're tiny and you're not coming up on that first page, they're probably not going to find you through that. So yeah, have a look and see what comes up. But just think about your skills, because it's all time and money. So we're on, as I say, with your silver clay jewellery classes, we're on Class Bento, we're on craft courses, and we're also on our own booking platform, which is a local company, Academy, that we use, but it's embedded in our website. So, and that's one of the key benefits, is that of having your own booking platform, and you bring people onto your website. You're taking people off, say, Eventbrite, and bringing them to the Arienas Collective or to Jewellery School Scotland, and that's where you want them to be. You want them to be promoting your website and following you and signing up for your newsletters. So if you've got those skills, use them.
Yeah. And I think if the courses are going to be like, and the teaching is going to be your main thing, then that's brilliant, and it's good to take the time to do that. I think if maybe this is a bit more of a side hustle, or something that you're just doing along the side because you enjoy it, or you're just getting a little bit of money in, at least to start with, using one of these platforms can save a lot of headaches around getting things set up.
Yeah.
It's in some ways it's a similar thing to jewelers who use a platform like Not on the High Street or Etsy to sell, because that's set up for them and it's just about putting it in. But as we always say with Jewelers Academy, and that what you want to do eventually is to have your own website, and to have people come to you and, as you say, be your customers. So yeah. Okay, we're on to number 10, everyone. We've made it. Right to the end. And the final point that I wanted to make is to keep going. It can take time for your reputation to build, for word of mouth to build. And it's in exactly the same, really, as when you're selling jewellery. It can take time for that to happen. So in the first few times that you put out workshops, hopefully they will sell out. But if they don't worry, and don't think, oh, well, that means I'm not cut out for it. No, it may not be that at all. And it probably isn't that. It is most likely that it is about getting the word out. It's always about the marketing. In the end, everything is about the marketing when it comes to these kinds of things. But what's really brilliant, and having worked with Lynn for a number of years now, is we're definitely seeing that we both market, we both do all the things that we're doing, putting out emails and things like that. But it is now, we're really getting so many people back through word of mouth. Oh, my friend said, or my sister said to do this, and and we're really hearing that a lot, which is brilliant. But it's taken time for that to come. It has taken time for that to come, and it's important to understand that. But when you do get that, and you kind of keep going, and that momentum starts to build on its own, and therefore you don't feel like you're pushing all the time, like, do you want to come to a workshop? It's there. And that's where things are selling out. That's where we're selling out workshops, a few months in advance, because people are like, oh yeah, this has been recommended to me. Oh, there's only a few spaces left. Oh, I better book on. And it's just kind of self-fulfilling it through that way. So I think that is a key factor, is to keep going. Is to make sure you're talking about what you do regularly. I mean, that's what marketing is. It's like saying the same thing over and over again in different ways.
Yes.
That's who we are. That's what we do. But then suddenly it comes to a point where other people are sharing that for you, and then that's when you're like, okay,
Yeah,
we've made something happen here. So yeah, what do you think
absolutely.
then on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep going. Definitely. And if you've kept going till the end of this podcast, then you're already interested and you're already thinking, oh, there's something more to come. I got something to learn here. So yeah, don't give up. Don't give up. If it's not right for you and you discover that, then fine. But it does take time to build any business. And it takes time for you to get to know your own business and to find what we were talking about earlier, that what is unique about you, what is different about you, why would people come to you? That actually takes time to come and for you to learn and to hear what people are saying. Well, why have they come back? Well, they come back because they like the space, or they've fallen in love with metal clay, or making jewellery, or they just had such fun. It was great, nice time out, day trip to Edinburgh, whatever. So that is what grows all the time. And at the end of the day, if you have got a growing business, then anything up to 80% of your business will come from those people one way or another, as you say, either them coming back or them telling friends about you. And so it's so important. And I suppose that would be probably one of my strongest messages, really, is, as you say, keep going, but absolutely focus on those customers that you've already got. Don't let them out without getting their email on your newsletter. They may or may not see you on social media. They may follow you on social media, and that's lovely. But as we know, they might miss your posts for whatever reason. But if you've got their email address, if they've given you permission to do that, respect it, use it wisely, but keep in touch with them. They've said, I want to hear more. So make sure you do tell them more. The number of artists I work with that don't have a newsletter and don't have their own mailing list or don't use it, it's absolutely crucial. It's fundamental to what you do. So really reward people for their loyalty, keep in touch with them. It's not just about selling another workshop to them. It's about talking about things about your life, what you're doing, sharing other things you're interested in that they might be interested in. So that then becomes part of your business. Your newsletter and your mailing list becomes your business, and that's what will help keep you going. And that's what gives you that direct contact with your customers, and also gives you the feedback of that you're doing things right.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, well, I feel like this has been a workshop masterclass, which has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me and being so generous with your knowledge, Lynn. Where can people find out more about the Arienas Collective?
Wow, yes, the Arienas Collective is on, we have our own website, thearianascollective.com. I mostly just use Instagram now. So we're at Arienas_collective on Instagram. And on the website, you can sign up for our newsletter. And that's what I love people to do most of all. But that's basically, mostly that's how people will find us.
Fabulous. Yes. And for me, if you want to see what I'm up to, mostly it's Instagram at Jewellery School Scot. And I'm also jewelleryschoolscotland.co.uk. And so, yes. And, I was so fortunate to meet Lynn, and we've really built something. And that's why the workshops are selling out, because of our collaboration. It's both of us together, working together. And that has been really helpful. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I know it has been a brilliant episode with lots and lots of great value for you. And we look forward to seeing you on an episode again next week.